All right, man. So let's talk about the Knicks first. Obviously, none of us, even the Knicks fan coming into the series, expected the Knicks to be able to have a chance to upset the Boston Celtics. All year, I think we were pretty high-ish on the Knicks, right? We were respecting them for being a really good team. We just said being really good doesn't matter when the Boston Celtics defending champs are right there and seemingly on paper are the kryptonite for everything you want to do. If you ever imagined a team that was built to beat a team that's led by a small guard and a stretch five that is lethal but not great defensively, to say the least, you would pinpoint a team like the Celtics who have 5 switchable defenders, elite spacing, elite forwards that can attack the big and the small in that equation. On paper, everything makes sense for the Celtics to just get the Knicks out of here and end the season that started with them giving up 1 million first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, giving up their depth for Karl-Anthony Towns. It seemed like it was for naught because the Boston Celtics were everything that they are not in the best way. But here we are. Your team is up 2-0.
Here we are.
How do you feel? How do you feel defying the odds?
I will say this. So coming into the series, I probably would have been, like, if we had made official predictions, because I don't think we had a chance to officially predict this series because of, scheduling stuff. And so I probably would have picked the Celtics. Even though that I'm obviously rooting for the Knicks, want them to win. The one thing that I couldn't talk myself, like if this was last year's team, I would have been able to talk myself into being like, yeah, they could do it. You know why? They got that dog in them.
Yes.
And as great as the offense was this year, and all the pieces were gelling together, the one thing that a lot of Knicks fans were saying is like, this team is just missing that dog from last year. In the first 2 games, the dog is here.
A lot of it.
It's unlimited dog. And the fact that for the second straight game, you have a 20-point deficit in the third quarter. Last time it was like midway through the third. It was about 2.5 minutes left where the 20-point lead was still there. And all of a sudden, 3 after 3 after 3, you get down to 12. And you look up and you're like, oh, whoa, now. This is a game. Whoa, now. Like,
you get a little accent with that cowboy.
That's what I'm saying.
Whoa, now, Nessie.
Whoa, now. And you just keep seeing the Knicks make play after play after play. And you look up, and the number one thing that if you are a Knicks fan or if you're in the Knicks building that you are telling yourself going into these games is give yourself an opportunity at the end of the game. If it's 4 points, 5 points, whatever, we just need to get into a clutch situation, and we will let clutch player of the year, my captain, right, Jalen Brunson, we'll let him take over. And the interesting part about yesterday is he didn't even have a crazy game. Jalen Brunson didn't even do the Jalen Brunson things. Now, he did have some clutch shots down the stretch of the game, but this was about Karl-Anthony Towns showing up big time in the first half. This is about Mikal Bridges, who every other week is either overpaid or undervalued in terms of like, I can't believe we gave 5 first-round picks for Mikal. And then he'll go do stuff like he did in game 1 and have a save like he did in game 2. And it's like, 5 first-round picks? Man, we don't care about that. It shifts back and forth. And so his performance in the fourth quarter and the second half was amazing. And Mitchell Robinson, who apparently is just Joe Mazzulla's just nightmare. He's just like, I just can't see him on the floor. It's a combination of all of that coming together. And now the New York Knicks up 2-0, going back home. I debated buying tickets for game 3. In the 2 to 7 minutes that I was doing it, prices went up $200.
Oh, hell no.
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to wait. But I did make a deal with my father and with my uncle. And if they make the conference finals, we're going to the game. We're going to one of the games at the Garden.
If they make the finals, we will do a podcast from outside Madison Square Garden. I guarantee we'll figure out a way.
100%.
HOH will make it happen, I'm sure. We will do a podcast in New York City if they make the finals. I guarantee it.
And I'm saying all of this stuff to give the salute. But man, does it feel good to watch the Celtics crumble. It feels so good to watch them do the things like, at least for me, at the most opportune time. Yeah. All of their weaknesses, all of the talking points of you take too many threes, Jason Tatum, you're not getting to the basket. This team has to figure out, different ways to win, all this other stuff. Joe Mazzulla coaching narratives are being brought up again. Man, it feels like 2022 when they were choking away in conference finals, and it feels great for me right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So, 2 sides of this, right? Mm-hmm. For every collapse that happens, there has to be a team that collapses, and there's probably a big reason why they are self-inflicted wounds. Mm-hmm. To blow a 20-point lead, you have to really shit yourself. Twice in a row, you have to unmatched level of defecation to blow 2 20-point leads 2 games in a row against an inferior team to you.
Drinking laxatives from lunch.
Crazy beans everywhere, gassy. But on the other hand, the other team has to come back too, right? It's a It works both ways. So let's start off by giving the Knicks their props before I get into all the reasons why the Boston Celtics deserve nothing but hate. The Knicks came into the series. The big reason why none of us believed in them was defense. We knew they were good offense. There's obviously the defensive side of the ball for the Celtics where they're obviously great too. And that didn't help that they had a great defense that could seemingly slow down Brunson at times. But the biggest reason we didn't believe in the Knicks wasn't that. It was because we thought there was no way in hell they'd be able to defend this Boston Celtics team, right? Because we know a drop coverage with Karl-Anthony Towns at center is cooked. It's toast. That has been the case for this series too. But the one thing we talked about during the regular season that could be an X factor, we just have to wait and see, is what it looks like when Mitchell Robinson comes back fully healthy and plays next to Karl-Anthony Towns, putting him back at power forward, where he's at his best defensively. That has been so much better of a look. They're switching a lot more too, which has been a big reason for the Boston Celtics struggles. Part of it is they're missing shots, which we'll get to, but part of it is the Knicks have been dead set on not letting them drive at all and get into rotation and be able to create these open catch and shoot threes, right? Normally it's not just we run a pick and roll and hoist a three. It's we're going to create a paint touch every time because Jaylen Brown is faster than you, KP's bigger than you, Jason Tatum can get to his spots. You're going to have to help, and we're going to swing the ball every time and create a three. Their switching defense has been so unforeseenly good. Mm-hmm. Nobody expected them to be able to man up this well, switching their bigs onto their wings with zero hesitation, switching Jalen Brunson off the wings with zero hesitation, and staying in front of the Boston Celtics. Why don't they get to the rim? The Knicks aren't letting them. That part has been Knicks are playing really good defense, and they are bringing out defensive looks that Tom Thibodeau clearly saved for the playoffs with the double bigs and the increased switching. Part of it is the Celtics melting down. Part of it is the Knicks are making them fall into their worst habits. So shout out them. Their defense deserves so much props.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest misconceptions that most people have, especially Boston Celtics fans, is like, oh my God, they just continuously like keep on spamming threes. And what people aren't like really realizing is that they're showing so many hands and bodies in the paint. And like you said, you put it in the best way possible. Like they're making them fall into their worst habits. And it's been like, I guess the word that you said of the week is amplified. This is what's happening literally to Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. Now, something I will say, again, we're going to stick to the Knicks for a little bit longer. The Celtics are dealing with real issues, but so are the New York Knicks. Like, you've been, since the day one of the season, pretty much maybe a week after Karl-Anthony Towns is traded, you were, of course, like, feeling all types of ways, but then you moved on and you're like, okay, like, this is going to be the matchup of the year for us. How well do we face off against these guys? You're not worried about the Cavs necessarily. You don't care about the Pacers. Like, this is the biggest thing in front of your road of a championship. And you're worried about the Karl-Anthony Towns of the world at the time period. Like you said, like Mitchell Robinson has made like all the changes in the world with his ability to switch. I'm so impressed with the fact that, okay, like you guys got out rebounded on the offensive board, especially. You guys had, I think, one less turnover or maybe one more turnover than the Boston Celtics. You guys also didn't even attempt more shots than the Boston Celtics. This is, again, we said this on a TD3 stream on a Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. That was a generational collapse, game one. Game two was the exact same thing, but it feels like even worse because Jalen Brunson was literally even worse. He scored like 9 points in the fourth quarter. The rest of the game, he was not up to much, but just trying to keep things afloat.
Yeah. Shout out the Knicks, right? Shout out the Knicks. Defensively, they've done so much better than we thought they would do.
Look at this. Locking him up. This is the second straight year. For the second straight year, Mitchell Robinson has come in and changed the series. Last year in the first round against Philly, Hartenstein could not stay in front of Embiid. He could not hold him. He was getting into foul trouble a lot. And the times where Joel Embiid had the most trouble and had the most discomfort getting to his spots was whenever Mitchell Robinson was right there. And now you still see him coming out, and like Isaac is saying, switching on to Jason Tatum. And even though that Tatum likes to take those step backs, we all know this. Whether you like to take it or not, having a 7'1" or a 7-footer put his hand up and contest that instantly obviously makes it harder. So he's doing that as well. And what we talked about after game one, which also kind of, put itself into this game is, where's Kristaps Porzingis? Because Porzingis only played 14 minutes. And so you come out, they start Al Horford, and now your big depth is instantly, derailed.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's talk about the Celtics side now. Shout out the Knicks. They've done their job, right? Props to them. We're not trying to diminish their performance at all. The Boston Celtics are a fucking joke right now, and we need to laugh at them and talk about Actually, maybe that's a bad way to frame it. We just got to talk about the realities of their system and their style of play and the downsides that can come with that, right? This whole current NBA playoffs, really the past 2 or 3 years, one of the things we've learned is in the modern NBA, partially because of Celtics and their influence, and I guess the teams that came before that, 3-point variance is the new biggest swing factor in many, many games, right? There's a lot of factors going into basketball, but almost every single series, there's 1 or 2 games that come down to this team shot a lot of threes, missed a lot of threes. Other team shot a lot of threes, made a lot of threes. That kind of defines a lot of games, and it's like a baseline before you get to all the other X's and O's sometimes. There's not ever probably in the history of the NBA been a team that is so dependent on 3-point variance as the Boston Celtics, because they've built their entire just top to bottom way they want to play around mastering variance. They said, we are going to take the most threes possible. So in the macro sense, we look across a 90-game sample, however many games we get into the playoffs, we will win more times than we will lose the 3-point variance battle. That works most of the time. We saw it work in the playoffs last year, right? They won that battle more than not. They didn't sweep teams because every series they had 1 or 2 games where they trolled and missed a lot of threes. And it's hard for them to win in 4. But they won a lot of series in 5 and 6 because 4 times out of 6, they win that battle by making more threes than they miss. That's what we thought in game 1 was going to happen, right? We thought it would be a trolling game. We'll say, okay, this happens. They had a lot of time off, come back. Shit happened again. This is baked into the way they play. They have such an opportunity to collapse and fold by just missing their shots that variance is going to come into play. Human nature will come into play. When you have such a reliance on that and such little desire to break from that, shout out you playing your system. Shout out you sticking your identity. That's all great. But the playoffs are a game of small sample size. It's small sample size theater to the highest extreme. You can tell yourself you'll win out in the long run no matter what. But if you lose 3 times and your back's against the wall because you got unlucky 3 times, that's just what it is. Now you're on the brink of elimination. This is the downside of what can happen. This is the 2018 Rockets. This can happen. It probably won't happen most series. Most times you'll be right. But sometimes you won't be right and you'll be down 2-0 to a team you should be up, largely because you stuck to your guns and you lost the luck battle.
I'm so happy that you said that, because one we talk, especially on this show, we talk so much about sample size, and whether we're critiquing players and being like, you know what, it's been 10 games, but we got to give people 20 games, or if somebody's rising heavy, it's like, listen, they've had a great first 2 months of the year. Let's see what happens over a larger sample size. That's not what this is about.
Nope.
That's not what this is about. And again, because y'all was out here, kissing your teeth, you only have to get 4. Yep. And the fact that the Knicks already have 2 and they're going back home is extremely key. And what this is reminding me of is obviously another situation that the Boston Celtics were in 2 years ago when they got down 3-0 to the Miami Heat. And these games went fairly similar, where you're at home and the Heat were the very grit and grind team, Heat culture, all that. We just have to get it close because Jimmy Butler is going to carry us over the finish line. And here we are doing that again. Now, I think that it's okay? So the way that the Heat went up 3-0 in that game 3, they embarrassed Boston. I don't think that's going to happen. I would be absolutely shocked if the Boston Celtics came out in game 3 and got beat by 30. I doubt that that's going to happen. And also, these are very, very close games. And while the Knicks are executing, I guess you can look at that sample size argument and say, over at least a 6-game sample size, you can have Jason Tatum, execute at a high level, or Jaylen Brown make a shot at the end of games where, if it is going close, you can kind of see it going a different direction.
There's 2 parts to this, though. I started off by mentioning they are just losing that luck battle, right? Of they're playing their game and they're getting the unlucky side of it. That won't happen a lot, but now it's happened twice of them just missing open threes. That's part of it. The part of why they won so easily last year while playing that is Jason Tatum was really good at generating paint touches. His shot wasn't falling last year in the playoff run for a lot of time, but he was really good. Jaylen Brown was healthy, instant paint touch. Drew Holiday was a year younger, probably better. And Kristaps Porzingis was a force when he was there. Now, he wasn't there for a lot of the playoff run, but top and down the roster, they were relying on threes. But the reason they're different than 2018 Rockets, who were even more reliant on threes to like a vanilla degree, is they have a lot of players on the roster that create paint touches and keep the defense in rotation and give you enough inside the arc that the threes are that much harder to guard, right? Jaylen Brown's not fully healthy. He's looked up and down. He's had good flashes, but he's working through a knee injury. Drew Holiday hasn't been quite as effective as he was last year. He had a good game last night, so I don't want single him
He's
out.
been better. He's been better with that.
And Kristaps Porzingis is absolutely not here to the degree he was before. So while the 3-point variance is just part of it is unlucky, you're missing shots, they're lacking the interior stuff that kind of brought it together and made you a little bit less reliant on it. Because we haven't said his name yet. We're waiting to get there clearly. Jason Tatum played the worst game of his fucking past 3 years.
I will say, I am over here out of the three of us, for some reason, I am labeled as the Tatum hater.
For some reason.
But whatever it is, I am labeled as that. I will say before we go ahead and get on Tatum shit, which he deserves a lot of it, he did sustain a fucking wrist injury game 1 against the Orlando Magic, and for the first time ever, he missed a playoff game last series. So that's clearly like bothering his shot,
Sure.
and I feel like that's the most untalked about thing so far throughout the entire discourse of this series. Good point. There is no like massive excuse when it comes to like the decision making and the type of things that he is doing and how he's getting to his
Fair.
spots.
His jumper looks really bad right now. If you want to say it's because of the jump, because that makes sense because it looks heinous. He's missing off the backboard to the right. Like it's not even. It looks atrocious right now.
Yeah.
But this is the part that's props to the Knicks. They are making him have a hard time getting to the rim. He does not look like the most explosive athlete one-on-one defeating defenders that he can blow by. He's not creating the paint touches he once did, or he's struggling in that regard, and that's making the house of cards fall. And that's really what it comes down to is all of this stuff can work. You can do this idea we're talking about of winning the math battle, taking the most threes. More often than not, you won't get unlucky. But that only works if your star wings play like star wings, and if Kristaps is the mismatch down low that can give you big minutes so that the three-point shooting gives you the floor and your stars decide the ceiling. The Stars' ceiling right now is in the fucking crater. It's underground. It's buried 6 feet under. They're making this sink just as much. And listen, they got up 20 points in each game. So the things we thought would happen and why they'd be able to blow out the Knicks have happened. They've gotten up 20 points. You don't get 20-point leads without having some clear advantages, some clear mismatches. Exactly. That is hard to do. So we've seen the upside on what they can do, and then we've seen the downside in the floor because the Stars aren't giving you the easy buckets to maintain those leads. They're just relying on these three-pointers that they're getting decent looks. I've seen a lot of people kind of talk about how their process and saying they're being lazy with it and stuff. They're getting the looks they always get. They always take hard shots and they make them more often than not. I don't even think the process is as different as people are making it seem. The process usually just has Jason Tatum scoring a lot more efficiently than this. Kristaps Porzingis being a lot more impactful down low than this. Without those things, it is strictly luck and not luck plus star talent. And that's why they're so unbeatable.
Game one, I actually think everybody's right in terms of they were taking bad shots and they were getting good shots just because they took 63. Like they took a crazy amount of threes. And so in that, you're going to get a wide variety of shots, right?
That's what they want, right?
Yeah. So everybody's right on that. The thing that is just continuing to be shocking to me is the fact that you have, even though that the Knicks are switching, the fact that Tatum is not just straight taking Mitchell Robinson off the dribble, or he's gotten Brunson on him and has taken a step back rather than really being able to get downhill. That's the part that's been really like, I guess, the most shocking for me, because in the regular season and in times whenever the Celtics have dominated, there's been times when you're just like we just can't guard them.
Yeah, you can't stay in front of them. Yeah, that's the difference for sure.
You can't stay in front of them, and the fact that they're doing that now. I mean, Tatum, outside of the dunk that he had at the end of the game, where it was literally a 40-yard dash fullback
open
dive,
field, yeah,
right. That is what that. Outside of that, he didn't have a layup opportunity. He's taking fadeaways. Yeah. He's taking turnaround jumpers, and that's always been a critique of Tatum, is that he likes to take Kobe system tough jumpers and stuff like that. And unless you're making those at a high level, then it's not really gonna.
The most embarrassing thing from last night's game was that they went 7, damn near 8 minutes in the fourth quarter without getting a singular field goal. Last night in the fourth quarter, they made a total of not 1, not 2, not 3, but a whopping 4 buckets total. That is outrageously embarrassing. And like that goes back to what you guys said about, at the end of the day, like, they're doing what they're doing, as in the role players and Derek Whites of the world, the Peyton Pritchards and the Drew Holiday, who had a good game too. But what really helps this team like rise above all else is your star players, and they're just not that. Jaylen Brown is looking really Rodney Stuckey-ish because of his fucking knee. There's nothing you can do about this. Kristaps Porzingis, God knows what he has. He might have tape on him. Who the fuck knows what's going on? And then Jason Tatum. again, wrist. That's very, very underrated when it comes to talking about him and his stuff. But he's reverting back to a lot of the old tendencies that people really caved in on him about. And when you don't have those guys to help rise above, i.e., Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for the most part, this is looking like a really cooked product.
And like, listen, we talk a lot about the practice of what they're trying to do, right? We can talk a lot about the theory of how they want to play. We've seen it be up. We've seen it be down. End of the day, this is the shot chart. 99% of the game is green. This is their leads they had. This is the theory of what they want to do. It works. This is not a matter of strategy entirely. It's purely execution as well.
It's a matter of dog.
Yeah, like they just executed so fucking poorly at the end of the day that you see this big green right
this
here.
This looks fake.
It look like this.
You
this
made
is what
this.
matters.
There's
They just
three
collapsed.
Three
no
lead
way.
changes in the entire game.
They just collapsed, and the lead changes were all at the end of the last 2 minutes before the whole thing is green.
Exactly.
So we can talk about how they want to play, and it is inherently high variance. It's what they want to do. It's more so than probably any team in the world. This is what it comes down to: is the execution at the end of the game. They simply choked. Like it really is as simple as that. If it comes down to like if they made 3 of those threes in the fourth quarter, we wouldn't be talking about this because they'd be winning. Same thing for the game 1. It's small details in the end of games that decide these things, and they just have not executed in the end. Like it's really that simple.
And now they're going on the road. And obviously, listen, they're champions, right? They're not first year players. I'm not gonna say that they're gonna be, deer in the headlights. But this is gonna be the craziest environment that I think anybody has seen in a long, long time. Because the Knicks have not been in this position in over 20 years, right?
Don't the Celtics have a better road record than home this year?
Yes, they have.
That's ridiculous.
They've been better on the road.
So we say the series isn't over.
I don't know how it's gonna go though, because it's getting really, really scary. And also because even though that the Celtics, obviously, like we're harping on them and we're harping on their 3-point variance because that is what they're built on. The Knicks also haven't shot crazy well from three either.
Right,
and so
that.
if you go home and you have the playoff cliche of like role players shoot better at home and all that type of stuff, if you get a little bit of bump in the Knicks production, there is a scenario where the Knicks can go out and they can match whatever level that you think Boston is going to rise to. And now we're in a situation again where it's last 5 minutes of the game, who's going to execute more. And as we go down further and further into the playoffs, you see that a lot, right? Whenever 3-point variance is either even or it's not really a factor that game, we've seen teams just be able over and over again to either outsmart or out execute teams. And that was the case in round 1 with the Warriors and the Rockets. We've said that for years about the Nuggets, and the fact that they're 1-1 with the Thunder right now is the fact that they have a supercomputer and he can process things and he can execute at the end of games. I'm not saying Jalen Brunson's out here making crazy reads because it really is just one-on-one and Bucky getting to the highest order. But now we're here.
You know what's so impressive too for me? I don't even think the Knicks are like fully at their best yet. Because I feel like someone like Karl Anthony Towns still could get even more involved in offense and still could even get much more 3-pointers. Like he's the best shooting big in the history of the league, and that even feels like
they're not going to feel at their best because they're going against the second best defense in the goddamn league, and that's what it looks like. We're just not seeing the best offense in the goddamn league come to play. So I think we're gonna see the Knicks not look quite as good as the regular season because look at the defense they're playing.
Oh, yeah,
it just matters that the Celtics can carry up their end on the other end too, because the whole reason we felt so good about them is their defense is a lot better than Knicks offense and their offense is a lot better than Knicks defense. Only one of those things have been true. Like the Knicks aren't scoring super well. That's probably to be expected, right? Because that's the Celtics are still defending well. They just got to score well.
You're right. I agree with that, but that's still not a great answer in my mind for why Kat isn't at least getting up the attempts from the 3-point.
Because they're switching. They're switching him on wings.
Yeah, here's why. Because Kat operates and thrives on mismatches, right? He's too fast for centers and he's too big for wings. The Celtics have Derek White and Drew Holiday and Tatum. All of their wings are extremely strong. And even though that Al Horford isn't fast, Al Horford is just. And he's the anomaly where it's like, how are you this good at guarding?
Cat was frying him last night.
He was getting fouls, but the and one thing he was making, they were still tough shots.
True.
And so, and if there's anybody as ready to guard highly skilled offensive bigs, it's Al Horford. And so he, you
My
know, like
God, Al Horford.
that's what I'm
There we
saying.
go.
So in terms of like mismatches, the Celtics do have bodies to where Cat can be kind of nullified, but the aggression that he had early on is something that you do like to see, to where just like in game one, where a lot of the Knicks were in foul trouble early on, now, especially because you have Porzingis out, you can get Al Horford into foul trouble. You can get Cornette in the foul trouble and really start putting the pressure, because there were a couple buckets that Cat got where Al just had to let him go because he already had 3 fouls. And so you can get easy opportunities like that.
Shout out to my Dominican king, Al Horford,
Yeah.
man.
It's Dominican on Dominican too.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is.
Yeah.
Wow, bro.
Yeah.
Hate to
It's just
see
so
it.
funny because this series, like we said, the Knicks are guarding them well, doing the like smart adjustments that weren't foreseen in the regular season to make them fall into bad habits. But like so much of this just really comes down to, are the Celtics serious, and are the Celtics going to shoot themselves in the foot some more? Like, I don't even know how to predict the rest of the series, because like you would think that
I was just about to ask you, what do you guys think is happening?
if anybody's capable of winning 4 in a row after going down 0-2, it's the
Obviously.
Celtics. Like,
Are you predicting? Do you think Celtics still win this series?
For the
Yes or
sake
no?
of injuries that are real life bothering Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, which just nullifies all like room for much error,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to lean the New York Knicks.
I mean, they're up 2-0, so like,
Exactly.
Matt
It's
says
easy
they
to
probably
say.
win.
Yeah.
But again, if there's any team that's capable of, it's the Celtics. Like, this is such a weird 2-0 where we're very doom and gloom. They were leading for both these games. It's kind of like the first Thunder game, but they did it twice. They got unserious and blew it twice. One more time, and then you have very little margin for error. So I don't know. Like, they should win on paper still. They are very capable of winning still, but shoulda, coulda, woulda at this point. They only have so many more times to be stupid in the fourth quarter.
Shout out to Joe Mazzulla for not calling a timeout in the fourth quarter when you witness your team go 7 straight minutes without scoring a single point. Love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They should win. They probably fucking won't. Like, they just clearly have given us 0 games in which they've been serious. You know, there's a stat that the last like 4 or 5 champions have lost in the second round the next year. We talked a lot early in the year about, or I did especially, that they're vulnerable. We were talking about them versus the Cavs, that we thought the Cavs could beat them. Apparently the Knicks can beat them too. Apparently they're that motherfucking vulnerable. So who knows?
I got the Knicks in 6.
I feel like it probably goes 7, and that makes me think that the Celtics are at home. Maybe that gives them an advantage, but they just lost 2 home games in a row. So who the fuck knows?
Yeah, in my mind, I want to, just because like you have a 2-0 lead, I would love to say Knicks in 5 right now, but this team refuses to take anything easy, and they refuse to make things easy. We are just coming off of a series in the Pistons where all of us is like, they should have won that series in 5, right?
Yeah.
Like, and they really were in control, or they were in bad positions that they shouldn't have been in, and that series was longer and harder and more physical than it should have been. So I can't sit up here and be like, oh yeah, like they're up 2-0, it's done.
I'd feel better about it. I would say, like, I'd feel a lot better if it was like back and forth games the whole time, and we saw the Knicks just like going band for band with them, and like it seemed like it's just clearly they're on the same level. But the nature of this is so goddamn weird, where the Celtics dominate most of the game both times and then just sell. Like, I don't know what to take away from that, because either maybe they keep selling, maybe that's who they are.
There is no other team in the NBA who could do this but the Celtics.
Like,
dominate like this and fumble the last like 30 seconds of the game.
it's
No team
very
can do
similar
this.
to that first OKC versus the Nuggets game. I felt 0 worry about that because it happened one time. That happens in game 1 a lot. Is what it is, right? Rust happens and you lose a game that you should have won. Game 2, they came out and answered. They did it again.
This ain't rust. That's what I try to tell y'all. It's not rust. It's who they are.
They did it twice, so
who they are.
I have no fucking clue. We'll see what the Celtics are goddamn made of, because
I just talked myself into it. Knicks in 5. We're going to the finals.
fool
I
me
will
once,
see
shame
you
on
guys.
me. Fool me twice.
I will see you guys in front of the Garden. We're gonna be live streaming an episode every day ahead of the finals.
You fooled me twice. You can't get fooled again.
Oh, I can't wait. This is amazing. I hate the Celtics.